boy, it's been 30 episodes since we last saw Japan, and the comparison between then and now is just too. Hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm with Vision Denial on the road to MSI, where we watch all the playoff games from all 12 regions. Yes, even that one. Today we have V3 versus Sengoku Gaming, and honestly, ugh, it's not great. It gives me big worry signs for the region. Now, granted, this is like third and fourth place. V3, who won 3-2, is going to face off Rascal Jesters for the last spot in the finals of this region. And honestly, either or could go. So let's take a dive down this terrible series. It was not great. Alright. First things first. I don't think the drafting is good. There seems to be this weird trend across a lot of the region's team, like a different bunch of the region's teams, where people are picking Olaf when things like, I don't know, like Nidalee are still open, or like even Skarner. Like, these are champions that still have viability within the meta as it exists, and they just pick Olaf and it doesn't add anything to their team. Like, it's a regular occurrence. But specifically Sengoku, who does it so many times. Let's see here. Once, twice, 3 times. 4 out of 5 games they pick Olaf, and never once do I ever see it actually do anything, or actually be helpful, or gain them any tempo advantage, or like help them with neutral objectives. Which is another thing that I'm just is that neither of these teams are particularly very good at neutral objectives or even securing, and like the contests between these two teams are just kind of like whatever. Oftentimes it's very hard to tell who is the better team when things are even, because they don't do anything unless there's like a random lead that they've occurred. This is like the ultimate definition of two teams who moved on from being able to punish things, stuck in the limbo of just waiting. Slowly but surely. And then I can feel my life force being drained away. I think there is something to say, however, that at least, even though there's repetition with some of the picks and that the neutral objectives themselves are not great, that I've never felt like as if there was like too much of an overlap from game to game. Like, 2 games in a row you won't have a repetition. There definitely is a stronger sense that they both like to play sieging compositions or compositions that do 1-3-1. And this leads to my next point, is that Sengoku is allergic to engaged champions. And so it came down to Sengoku picking more complicated drafts versus V3 picking simpler, easier to execute drafts. And I know that a lot of the regions their playoff are already done. I'm behind. That's the nature of watching all of these in a like as release date wise, like in order of release. The thing I want to like project to the past, if ever this is normal, like no matter how good you are, like how high up the ladder you are in your region, or like how low you are, I want you to always pick simple drafts. More often than not will scale better, will also be able to take advantage of the weaknesses of your opponent's more complicated drafts 5 times out of 10, or 9 times out of 10. My brain is just being weird. And so I'm here perplexed as to why that wasn't the approach for this. You're staring down the barrel in your 5th game and you decide we're going to pick a composition that has no engage, that is extra complicated to approach because you require 2 forms of extra scaling and coordination, versus a team that literally can just press like one button and coordinate just when to press those buttons, and then your entire team's gone. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I harped on Australia last year for being like so repetitive and like have every team picks the same type of composition all the time. But at least they had the idea down that like simplicity works. And guess what? They carried that through, and the simplicity itself helped them out immensely compared to other regions who were just like, "Oh, we are much better. Let's try something complicated and something that, yes, if on paper we get lots of leads, we win." But the fact of the matter is that like the on paper drafting procedure does not track to in-game play, right? And so your on paper needs to change. You need to like shift the point of view of ease of execution should take precedence over almost anything else. And I say almost anything else because, like, as we saw with the Gen G versus T1, they both pick simple compositions, but the difference is that one outscaled far more than the other. So you need to need to be aware of some of these like pitfalls, but like almost always recommend do simple first, add spice later. You need solid front line, solid engage. You have those 2 things, everything else can be supplementary. Hell, even your spice can make it simple. I also find it really disheartening that neither of these teams have good enough engage early game. Hey, Amethyst. Catch being a little punk. Noises. Yeah, I find it disheartening that neither of the teams have very solid early vision. I think that will be a huge contributing factor to how they'll fall behind oftentimes in international play. If I was to say, like, no matter what, if V3 or Rascal Jesters wins in the finals, Detonation Focus Me was a much more solid team out of this region, so I don't think either of these teams would beat them. Not at least unless I see something change between V3 and Rascal Jesters in terms of their approach to the early game, in terms of their approach to how neutral objectives are contested or secured, and in terms of the ways that pick and bans are approached, because I can't see 2 teams that wait for someone else to make a mistake because they picked something complicated instead of an easy to execute thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Up next, we're going back to China, where we're watching Suning versus World Elite. My boys and the Lions, I hope you guys do good. See you in the next one.